Hey y'all, I've been wanting to make a video on how to play The Curtain by Phish, and I'm finally getting around to it here. It's a pretty cool tune. It's got a lot of interesting sort of combinations of chord voicings and open strings. Makes me think Trey maybe wrote a lot of it on an acoustic guitar because that kind of stuff sounds great on an acoustic. The song is pretty long here, and I don't want to make an hour-long video here, so I'm going to buzz through this as quickly as possible. I'll break down the parts that I think need breaking down, but I'm going to do it quickly and kind of blaze through it, and I would encourage you to just go ahead and grab the tab for this, which I will put a link to in the description of this video. Okay, so the intro here is this cool little lick involving a hammer-on with an open string. I'm visualizing an A chord here. But all I'm grabbing out of that A chord is the 5th and 3rd strings, and I'm doing a hammer-on on the 3rd string with the open, a hammer-on and a pull-off actually, and then down to that note. It's pretty interesting. And Trey's doing a syncopated thing kind of in 3/4, and I think the rest of the band is in 4/4, so the timing is kind of funny. And in fact, you play this part 21 times before you move on to the next part, and you can count that however you want. When it finally lands on a chord, it's another A chord. And this time I'm still, I guess, picturing the same A bar chord, but now I'm on the 4th and 3rd strings and then using the open 5th string and 1st and 2nd also. Gives us kind of an A add 9 chord. And actually, I think he slides up to that chord from 2 frets below. And then he does 2 other voicings of an A chord, and I'm pretty sure he did these on the 5th and 3rd strings. I know it's a little hard to see here, and then I'm muting the 4th string that's kind of in between these, and there's 2 more inversions of an A chord basically with all these open strings. Next chord here is, I believe, a G6 chord, and there's a really good shot of Trey playing this chord in, I think it's in that Live from Brooklyn DVD. And he is on the 4th and 1st strings on the 12th fret, and then the open 2nd and 3rd are included here. It gives you a G6 chord. Back to that A. And this galloping rhythm that I'm doing here also comes back with the main guitar hook of the song. And my biggest advice on getting this rhythm going is work your speed up slowly, start slow, and make sure you can get the tempo good and the rhythm good. And then increase your speed and stay as relaxed as possible. If you tense up while you're doing something like that, you're screwed. So then we get back to this repeat of this whole intro, does the whole same thing, that G6 chord, but then it moves to a D chord, and I think he actually just does a straight bar chord here, and he slides it up from like a C. And then does this harmonic thing. I've never been 100% certain about that. That's how he plays it, I think, on the Live from Brooklyn DVD, but I've heard other versions where it's a little different. Okay, now we get to the main hook of the song, what I think of as the main hook of the song anyway. And it's this series of little mini chord voicings, I guess, with the open 4th and 1st strings, and then his chord voicings are on the 2nd and 3rd strings. And I'll run through them slowly here. And again, here we have that galloping rhythm, right? Then he does kind of a D add 9 chord. This is kind of D here, and he adds this high E on top of it. So then you run through this sequence again. Finally landing on a G chord here. And then something that I never noticed until I saw this Brooklyn DVD, Trey does 2 other inversions of a G chord. One that he uses actually quite a bit. This is funny. I really had never used this until I started watching Trey do this chord occasionally. It's an inversion of a G chord with the 3rd, the B, in the bass. I'm grabbing a G there, D there, another G there, and then down to regular bar chord G. Runs through that whole sequence again, and then the next time it ends up back on this A add 9 chord. And that's where we have the vocals. As he saw his life run away from him. After chanting words from a song, you land on this A add 9 chord again. Arpeggiated a little bit. I think he does that kind of randomly, freely. So the second time they sing that vocal line, Trey follows it with a little line on the guitar where he's again working with the open A string and the open first and second strings. As he saw his love run away from him, thousands ran along, chanting words. That's an E chord right there, just a regular bar E chord. Back to A add 9 to finish it out. Okay, so now we're on to Please Me, Have No Regrets. He's doing the same kind of thing with these chord voicings on the third and fourth strings and then all the open strings. Please me, have no regrets. And then this lick. And on that lick, the big thing I'd say to be careful of is this first bend here on the 6th fret. Be really careful to bend that one in tune. You can get kind of excited in the heat of battle and over-bend it, and it sounds kind of crappy. I do it all the time. Something I still have to really be very conscious of when I play. Then we got Came from the baby's mouth. We follow the lines going south. E minor. And then repeats the whole Please Me, Have No Regrets thing again. This time when it ends, you've got Came from the Baby's Mouth, and they hit the same A add 9 chord, I think, 2 times just as they sing Babies, and then the harmony goes off on Mouth. They follow the lines going south, takes us back to E minor. This time, Trey starts doing a thing. Now we're going to be in the key of E minor, and we're still doing an open string thing here. This time, we're going to have the open 6th, as well as the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then our chord voicings are all on the 5th and 4th strings. And I'm pretty sure what he's doing is just kind of walking down the scale here. It's kind of hard to tell by listening. And then he just picks out the chord at each step. Starts here on the 12th fret, and I think he's just taking this same E minor voicing all the way down both times, even though it results in a couple funny notes. I really think this is what he was doing. Does that 4 times. Okay, now we've got this little lead up, E minor G, A minor C. And then we do this cool Lydian chord thing here. So I'm doing an A flat triad here just on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, and I'm really just playing those strings, and then I'm adding this D on the 2nd string here, popping up to my pinky on the 4th fret there too, so it's... Now we do the same E minor G, A minor C. Do the exact same thing, but move it up 2 frets. Okay, now we've got this melody that Trey plays in octaves here, and he's grabbing the octaves, I think maybe a couple different ways here. First of all, on the 4th and then 2nd strings, 3 frets apart. And then a couple times he'll be on the 5th and 3rd strings, and in that case it's only 2 frets apart. It goes... Now we get to this part, and this is that same thing we were doing before, but we're even 2 frets higher off of a C triad here, and then on the 7th and 8th frets. Take a little half a breath there, and then move it down a whole step to a B flat triad. Now we're back in this E minor thing, and I'm pretty sure all that happens here is he does practically the exact same thing, but he does it in the opposite direction, so. And does that 4 times as well. Okay, now we get to this thing where the band alternates back and forth with Page and his organ solo. And we're still kind of keeping that same rhythmic thing going. Now I am working off of a D chord here on the 5th fret. Okay, this next part Trey's on an E minor chord, and I think it's kind of the same concept of that last E minor section where he's taking this little voicing here and moving it up through the scale. But in this case, he does it in this syncopated rhythm like this. And then what he's doing here is walking up. This is the shape of like an E chord, and I'm starting in B, but I'm just using those 3 notes, and again with all these open strings. And then I'm walking that up to a D, 3 frets higher. And then he's on a D chord here. It's pretty hard to see with my fingers. Let's see if I can angle it. So I've got this D shape here, which is based just on my D bar chord, and then I'm playing it just like this, and then I'm adding my pinky on that G note for like the sus4 sound. So back to that E minor a couple more times, and back to that thing. And then we have the very ending where it's kind of leading us back into the main guitar hook of the song. And he's doing a little D chord here, again with the open strings. And this is like a G here. This is maybe an A minor, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, or a D7 of some kind. And then, which I guess is like a C sharp diminished sort of, and then we're back at the main hook of the song. So now we come to the ending, and so we got 2 different endings for this. One is kind of the old school before they reattached the with section to the song, so let's call it the without ending. And it's hard to find even 2 versions of this that match, to be honest, and so I'm just kind of taking a guess here, but I think what he's doing is just walking a little triad up, just that little A-shaped looking triad starting on the 3rd fret and going up to the 10th. And then coming back and ending on an E flat chord. So you'd have. At least the couple versions that I had sounded kind of like he was doing that. No promises on the accuracy of that. And then the other thing that happens is when we're going into the with ending, we're back on the last time around to this part. And then we basically change keys up to like E flat. And at this point, I kind of try to stop using the open strings. I just use these fingers to kind of mute them off because they sound pretty bad once we're in the key of E flat. And then we go into E flat for the with section. The with section's actually not real difficult, and it's not real fast either, so I'm going to save that one for another video, or hopefully maybe you can figure that one out on your own.